is there anyone else you kind of look to before, or is there anyone that you know? I know you mentioned your manager who has children, but have you spoken to anyone who, I mean, apart from us right now, who have children, and have kind of gone through this journey?
That's a good
within
question.
This industry.
It's funny, actually, because I only know of 2 other women who've kind of gone through this, and both have said, like, well, no, wait. One of them has definitely said, if you ever want to, like, talk about it, you totally can, like, please hit me up. But I haven't taken them up on that, and I'm not sure why. I think there might be something around that. I'm worried that there will be some sort of expectation within myself to follow the same path as they did. And not knowing if that is my path or not. And I think I'm just trying to really, like I said, like, listen to my gut and what, the tiny little voice is telling you that is actually good for you in that moment, because that little voice can kind of get drowned out sometimes. So trying to make it as loud as possible.
Yeah. And do you think, from coming off contraception, do you think that little voice has become more, what's the word? Like, it makes more sense. Like, it's more real to how you actually feel. Like you said, that you feel more in tune. Is that little voice part of that?
That's a good question. I think actually that has been like a lifelong journey of making that voice louder and louder. But I will say this, like, it's funny, like, I was just talking to Daryl yesterday about this, and he's like, you're a lot less anxious. Wow. He's like, I've noticed that, like, because I would get super anxious every time I'd have to go tour. So that, like, every weekend, I'd be like, oh my God. Like, I would look at my suitcase and, like, just, like, be like, oh, fuck, I got to do this again. And it's just like,
oh my God, I can't believe that.
I know. Yeah. It's wow. Yeah. When I say I'm an anxious person, like, I'm an anxious person.
Yes, you really are.
Yeah.
Like me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
But oh my God. So how did you deal with that anxiety? Like, how do you cope with it? And I guess you would. Okay, yeah. I need to know more about this anxiety.
I was going to say, did you notice that it had become worse, or was it only in hindsight that you were like, oh, actually, shit, I was really, really anxious at that point?
No, it got worse as my career started getting, I guess, more successful, or whatever you want to call it, like more gigs, busier, all that shit. So, yeah, I think. Yeah, I remember actually, like, really noticing it, like, in 2019, because I think I can't remember, but I had a lot of like long haul trips, like going to the States, going to Asia, going to Australia, going back to the States, and then staying in Europe, and and you guys know all of it. And so there was a point I remember I was having to fly to New York, and I couldn't pack. Like, I literally was sitting there, the suitcase is open, and I'm just crying. And I remember calling my sister, because my sister lives in New York. Thank God. And I was like, I'm coming to you to play this gig. And, I was starring another US tour. I was like, I can't pack. Like, I'm so exhausted. I'm so overwhelmed. And luckily, like, she's just such a good caretaker. And she's like, don't worry, just throw stuff in. When you get here, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to take care of you. Like, it's going to be okay. Like, things like that. And those moments have happened with, like, so many times over the years now. And me having to communicate that to various people, whether it's my team, whether it's Daryl, whether it's my mom, or my tour managers, it's just so that people know where I'm at, so that if I do seem off or odd or not, you know, fully with it, that they at least know the context so that it all hopefully makes sense. Because I know for me personally, whenever I'm trying to interact with someone and something's off, I'm always trying to understand, well, what is it? And I'm also someone who would always think it's my fault, like I did something. So I just don't want ever anyone to think that.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's very considerate of you.
It really is.
I try really hard. And so with the anxiety decreasing a bit, like I didn't notice that until yesterday that Daryl said that. He's like, you aren't communicating that to me as much, which must mean that you're not feeling it as much, because I'm definitely an over communicator, probably oversharer as well. But and so it's interesting, like, but all through that time where my anxiety got worse, I was on birth control the whole time. So it's hard to really know like what came first, you know, like whether it was my touring schedule becoming more, or the hormones, or it's probably both combining and making it all worse.
It might have just exacerbated
it. And now that is, you know, those hormones are slowly leaving my body, I definitely feel like I'm still definitely anxious, but I don't look at my suitcase with as much dread, or it's more like it's manageable. I definitely look at it with like a little bit of dread. Like I'm like, oh God, okay. But it's like doable at this point, which has been really amazing. And again, like the love for DJing has been coming back, which is so amazing. Like, 'cause I've just been, it's such a weird thing. Like, I think whenever, at least for me, whenever I'm DJing, I'm trying to find those points within the set where I feel connected and my heart is full, and that this is bringing joy to not just myself, but to the people around me.
Yeah.
And I would say for the last year or so, that has been a disconnect where I feel like people are experiencing joy, but I'm not experiencing it. So I could say like I probably was like softly depressed, but just not enough where I was like, oh shit, like, you know what I mean? Where you're not like fully aware of it. And so that has, so I guess to answer that question of like, has that small voice, maybe it has become stronger, I guess, in a way. But because of the tools of me learning to listen to that small voice for so many years now, because I really had to learn how to listen to that small voice when I entered this profession, essentially. And that's something like I always try and, I don't know, like something especially like with women in this industry, like that voice is your best friend. 'Cause I know for me, when I was starting out, that voice was so small and insignificant. And I felt like I always call it, I have to make myself into a pretzel. And right? Like I have to be this, or I have to do this, or look like this. And really finding strength within doing things that resonated for me. And that maybe not necessarily being the thing that everyone else wants you to do. And it's a hard one, but sorry, I went off on a tangent
I think
there.
No, not at all. But I think it, again, kind of just reinforces that little voice has said to you, or that loud voice, I should say, has said to you, take pause in this time where you're feeling like this, and wait to embark on this next big journey, you know, and kind of, like I said that before, the word relish, but kind of relish these moments and just feel that joy in what you're doing before the next step, which I think is kind of, we should all be doing that in everything that we do.
Totally. And like being more present, essentially. And
exactly.
like just to say though, like motherhood is something I'm so excited for.
Mm.
I been dreaming of this kid. Like, this kid that is going to be born literally comes into my dreams. Like, I could feel like
I was squealing.
Like, this kid is annoyed at me now. Like, like, yo, like, when's the time? Like, you know, like, there's like, yeah, it really, so I it's definitely something I know I want to do so full-heartedly. And I know that the right time is gonna bonk me on the head, because I don't know, that's how it's happened so far. And there's a difference between, also, I feel like there is a difference between that small voice saying hit pause versus just being scared. You know what I mean? Because it is a scary transition. It's an unknown thing. I have never gone through motherhood before. So, you know, I think there's a difference between those two. And I think I think I've worked pretty hard to know the difference, I think, at this point. So, yeah.
I do think you are in a very, very good position to be entering motherhood, because you are so in tune with that little voice, which is going to carry you through like the throes of motherhood, because you can't really listen to other people's advice because only you know your child. And I mean, obviously we take everyone's advice and it takes a village, but I feel like I just know sometimes what's right for Jeannie.
It's so personal.
It's so personal.
And it's so personal.
Exactly.
Especially, again, in pregnancy and when you choose to do it, or, you know, just your own journey with it and how you feel being pregnant. Like, you can only hear so much from people. And people love to give their opinion.
Oh,
they do.
That part I'm not excited for, but yeah. And I know it's coming for me too. I have a lot of strong-minded individuals in my life.
Wow. Okay. Watch out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All I'll say is what I found and what I've heard people say is, don't listen to the Just Wait Brigade. Have you heard of the Just Wait Brigade?
Wait, what? Oh no.
They're the people who go, just you wait. Just you wait until you don't have sleep. I'm like, I'm a DJ. I don't sleep anyway.
This is what I always think. I have been prepping this my whole life.
Exactly.
I know
we're in actually a great position.
Literally, I know what it's like to literally stay up for 40 hours straight.
Yeah. Like, you're very well equipped. I'm telling you.
Yeah, exactly. Don't listen to the Just Wait Brigade.
No, I love that.
They'll come at you. Actually, a question I was going to ask you was, so you grew up in Canada.
Yes.
Am I right? Yeah. And obviously you said you found your base here. What was it about the UK that made you decide that this was home? Was it due to career and things like that? Because obviously having a child and thinking about having a family, having family close is something that people think about. I was wondering if you had thought about that. And
yes. Yes.
Your mindset.
No. Wow. Yeah. You guys are really getting the real ins and outs of how insane I think.
We're getting to know Jayda.
Yeah. Like, so I remember in 2018, 2019. And like, just again, to say this, like, because Sam, you still live in Berlin, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Like, all the power, like, I'm amazed that you're able to provide for your kid within the system that is Berlin, because I personally found that system really difficult.
In what ways did you find it difficult?
I found it difficult in to understand the medical system.
Mm-hmm.
I found it difficult because also the reality is I don't speak German.
Yeah.
And that was really a bit, I was like, it's like do or die. Either I go full bore and learn German hardcore, and then that will open up so many more doors to me within this country, or let's just say that we're not doing it and we got to figure out something else.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that, and like, to be fair, like, Berlin was so good to me it was the beginnings of my career essentially, and I couldn't have moved to London without have living in Berlin first. Berlin gave me availability. Like living in Canada, doing those overseas flights on the regs is not cute.
Ooh.
It is not cute. And seeing my peers doing that, like choosing to still live in Vancouver and flying over I'm sure, Sam, you saw this with people like living in Australia, like flying over to do and like living in some random apartment, doing the gigs, spending all your money on basically trying to like,
exactly
on apartments, things like that. And I just knew like the ability to move to Berlin and make that easier for myself was essential, because then I was able to save, and I had I was available to the industry essentially. So I was able to grow and become more well-known as a DJ, so that when I did apply for my visa in the UK, I had already built a strong foundation so that I looked very good on paper and that I could get a visa quite easily.
Right.
And so just saying that, but a big part of, there's so many reasons why I moved to London. I would say the most logical one was that it just got to a point where like my management is here, my fashion management is here, my label is here. At that time, I was doing a Radio 1 on the residency. I was had been doing that for 6 months, and I had another 6 months they gave me. And so it just kind of got to a point where I wasn't in Berlin as much. And there's two big things where I was like, okay, like I don't understand this medical system well enough that I feel comfortable to have a baby here. Like that literally was a big reason why, because the system here in the UK is very similar to Canada. And the second thing was the ability to buy a home and have that kind of insurance for the future. Because I'm also just painfully aware that this life of being a DJ is very fickle. And it can be here one day and it can literally dissolve the next. And so wanting to provide, basically I want to buy a home so that I at least had that foundation again for the family I want to build. And that seemed unattainable in Berlin. Because you need to put down, I think like as being international, I think you had to put like 40% down.
Wow.
So I was just like, I don't think I can do that, you know? So all those things coming together, like team, like being in the UK a ton, moving into those new phases of life of looking to have kids was a big reason why I moved to London.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. And your partner, so you knew your partner from Canada.
Yeah.
You've known him since you were
yeah. I know. He was my first boyfriend.
Oh, stop it. That's too good.
I know. It's disgusting. No one would look at me in that high school because I was also the only black girl. Like there was one other black person. He was 2 grades younger than me, and it was, but yeah, as a girl, I was
heavy relate.
Yeah,
heavy relate.
No, it's just like no one was looking at me even sideways. So, but Daryl did. Daryl
love Daryl.
I know. And I was saying to Sam earlier that he sat next to me in physics class when I was in grade 12, so my last year of high school, and he was a year younger than me. And we just like got along really well, like hooked up at like random parties, bush parties in Canada. And we started dating, and we dated for 2 years. And we broke up because I went to university on the other side of the country. And Canada is a big country. That's a good 5-hour flight. So it just didn't make any sense to me to continue on with the relationship with like long distance. And we broke up, and we literally did not keep in touch for almost 12 years. Yeah, I know. And when the pandemic happened, I went home to my little town of Grand Forks in Canada. And I went home. It was the longest time I'd been home since I was a teenager. I went home for like 4 months. And there's so many people in my town who went back to Grand Forks during that time, because it's a place like it felt safe during a time where things really didn't seem or feel safe. And so Daryl was home as well. And we just started hanging out. We started going on hikes together and stuff. and then, then we got back together, and I literally was like, you have to move to London if you want to try and work this out.
See, that's what I was going to ask. I was like, oh, did he live in London? No. You said, we're living in London.
And he's like, okay. Coming.
I love it. And how is he adjusted to living in London?
Oh, he is like a full Londoner. He knows more about the city than I do, because I'm gone like half the time. So he knows all the spots in the neighborhood. He skateboards. He's hardcore into skateboarding. So he has a skateboarding crew. He goes skateboarding every weekend.
Oh my God.
He's like, no, he has his job now. He's like, he's
living the London life.
Literally.
He is living it.
He's got his favorite pubs. Like, he's like, yeah.
Okay, so he's settled.
He's definitely settled. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. Oh,
I'm lucky though. I'm very lucky that I was able to find someone who was as adventurous and open as I am to kind of just jump in 2 feet into the deep end. So and I know not everyone is like that. And so it was a good pairing in that sense. So yeah.
Wow. You two, by the sounds of it, are going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Whenever that happens, I'm excited.
I'm so excited.
I'm very excited for you.
Aw, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for being so open and so vulnerable. I think, like we were saying before, this is a conversation that really does need to happen more often. Like, the sharing between women and people is, I mean, I love it so much. Like, when I'm able to do it with my girlfriends, I'm like, yes, I love women. But do you know what I mean? This is a subject which isn't spoken about loads. So it's going to be great to share this with others.
And I just like appreciate you guys reaching out, because Matt, like, again, like, I just was like, oh yeah, I want to talk about that. Because, like, you get the norm, like, not to knock it, of course, like the regular interviews of, like, talking about music, your next, like, when's your next single coming out? What are the latest projects? Blah, blah. I want to talk about a better project that, like, my latest project
a big one.
So my latest
babies. Oh God.
So good.
The biggest project to date.
Yeah. Biggest release.
Right?
I know. Oh my gosh. Amazing. And do you know what? It's just fun. I was just thinking back, like, I've been thinking back on my own journey, and when I played our Boiler Room, I was pregnant then.
Helena, literally as soon as I saw that photo of you with Jaguar pregnant, I was like, holy shit, she was pregnant during the Boiler Room.
So you had no idea, Jayda?
I had no idea.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But
wow.
No one knew really at that point.
Did you? But you knew.
And I was like 13 weeks. 13 weeks pregnant?
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Woo.
No, that's something I
God.
wanted to ask. I was just like, were you pregnant during the Boiler Room?
It was tough. And this is another thing. It's so interesting. Like when I did it, I was fine, but I was sleeping like up until like the final moment before I came because I was so tired. I was so tired. I was literally like, oh my God, I've got to go and perform. And like I'd done a couple shows like that, but yeah, I just napped. My partner, I said this to you, Sam, like we've got a folder of all of like the photos we've taken during this pregnancy. And for the first 12 weeks, Tom has taken a photo of me every day sleeping in the same position on our sofa. Lots of naps.
Yep.
That's what you need.
No, napping. No, it totally makes sense. All your resources are going into creating this little baby in your body, which is so cool.
It's so cool and
wild.
So insane.
Like
it's insane.
You know what? I just like get so pumped with this. Like, sorry, going on like a random tangent again, but it's just like we are the coolest people ever. We create beings in our fucking bodies. Like, how fucking cool is that? Like. We are really the ultimate creators. Like
we are. That's what I've been saying. I'm like, we are actually God.
Yes. Yes. Like God is a woman. Like literally.
Exactly.
Oh my God. And I know there's so many songs that are like that, but like seriously. And I just
thank you, Ariana Grande. But yes. It's true though. It's amazing. It's the most incredible thing that we do, and women don't get enough respect and props for doing what we do.
Yeah, it goes so unnoticed,
mental.
Right? Like
exactly.
It's like no, we actually built that person. You know, like, that person wouldn't be here without this.
Literally,
I built a spinal cord. I built a whole spinal cord.
Literally, it's just it's wild. Like when you really think of it, and how. Just like, not to go too much on the rant, but it's just when you think of when people who get insecure around women, it's literally just because we are so powerful. Yeah. And that has been, you know, taken away in so many ways in the way that we talk about our bodies in society and how that needs to change and be recognized that how awesome we are amongst other women, first and foremost. And then, you know, everyone's got a cop too.
Exactly. I mean, it just should be celebrated. I'm like, why is this not being celebrated more? No, I love it. Exactly. Sometimes I look at my partner. Sometimes I look at him and I'm like, you don't.
Yeah, you have no idea.
You don't know what my body goes through. I'm like, you.
Just wait till you push him out too.
I know. My poor boyfriend.
That look you'll give him when you're like pushing him out.
I'm actually so cute. Like that's actually something I'm really curious about to ask you guys. Like the birthing process. Like, are you scared? Sam, were you scared? Were you excited? Too. What were the things? Like, I'm like, now I'm doing my own homework. Sorry. You guys can cut this out if you want. But
No, it's fine.
No, this is good stuff.
I was super excited. I think before I got pregnant, I was really terrified. And then throughout my pregnancy, I just listened to positive birth stories on the Australian Birth Stories podcast. And then from then on, I was like, I need to give birth. I want to do this.
Yeah.
I was like so beyond myself with excitement. And yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Yeah?
I'm really excited. I'm genuinely excited because I'm just again, going back to that power thing. I feel so powerful and I really feel that it's such an empowering, incredible thing that we are able to do that I'm like, bring it on.
Yes.
Come on, let's do it. Yeah. And also, I'm ready to not be pregnant anymore. Yeah. I'm ready to have the baby.
I know. This baby needs to leave its hotel.
Check out.
It's been a good run. Yeah, checkout is on the 9th of October or before. Preferably before.
No late checkout, please. No late
No. You get a charge for that. You'll be charged. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so bad. No, and it's just because I'm as like another thing that oh God, it's just once again, just like really again showing how much I think about these things. I was just like, okay, like I gotta get ready to be comfortable around birth. Like, and how that isn't something like, again, like if you think back to how we used to live communally, that was something that you were around all the time.
Yeah.
And how that now with, you know, being more independent and how we're all these like, you know, the nuclear family and separate from each other, you aren't exposed to that as much. And how, so
yeah,
I'm just like, well, you know, I'm a researcher. So these things I need to start researching.
No, I'm with you. I feel like knowledge is power. And that's definitely something that I have felt throughout this pregnancy. Like I've wanted to know every detail, every nitty gritty detail. I have felt and found solace in actually knowing it all, because I don't want to be surprised no matter what happens. Like I just want to know what could happen, how it could go, and how to best prepare myself. And I do think, I mean, again, just like the power of social media in that sense has been amazing. I mean, I've been so grateful for it. Like I have learned so much from TikTok. The mums on TikTok, they've been telling me so much. And also my own research, which I promise isn't just but there is so much out there. There's so much resource now. And like, again, I do think it is important to be around other women. And there's something called hypnobirthing. I don't know if you've heard about this.
No, I have. Jayda. I definitely have.
But there's lots of like hypnobirthing classes, especially in Hackney, which is where I live. And there's like community groups and mothers who get together and talk about, like you're saying, these positive experiences. And I just feel, I feel really grateful that we are coming into a time where this conversation is more open and there are more places to get real information from, not just scary stuff on like NHS. Even though big up the NHS.
I know, exactly. And
I think it's also important to think about, like I found birth to be kind of scary before I got pregnant, and then I got into it. But I never really thought about postpartum. Like, and I feel like that is like the most vulnerable time. And your hormones apparently like it's like worse than adolescence in like in like 24 hours or something. I forget what I'm not very like medical.
Don't worry.
But
sorry. You get the vibe. Definitely.
You get the vibe. Your hormones
it's
are
a lot.
crazy, and you just need to prepare for that. Like have as much support around you, and if you're able to, and
exactly. No, and that
exactly. There's 4 stages. That's what they said. It's 4 trimesters.
Yeah. I mean, 4 quadmesters. What do you call what do you call it if it's?
I know, but there is a 4th trimester.
Oh yes.
So it should be try. It should be whatever the other word is.
The other one.
There's 4 stages. There's 4 stages.
I love it. No, but that is a big one, and how. Like, and I'm so grateful for like my friends who've also gone, you know, who have kids and stuff, because that's definitely something everyone talks about, is just like, like also the fact that after you give birth, like your body has changed completely. And there is a whole process that comes along with that. And it's amazing and wonderful. And I don't know, I think I'm just like I'm really here for all the stages. So
hell yeah.
But also, do you know what? I think it's also really interesting, just relating back to the work that we do as well, to kind of to know that in that 4th trimester, whatever you want to call it, we are in a front-facing role. So it's hard to know how you're going to feel, you know, and being on a stage, you know, in front of people and having people look at you. So I think, being as prepared as possible to or having space and time to heal, to adjust to your new body and to your new life is super important. And I know, Sam, you said that in a previous conversation we had before, you kind of wish that you had spent a little bit more time kind of listening to or allowing your body to heal a bit more mentally and physically.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I've been thinking about it a lot.
But I mean, it's different for everyone. And I think for me, going back 3 months in, and Jayda, as you were saying, like those flights to America from Europe are kind of intense. Yeah. And having a 3-month-old and being 3 months postpartum, it was too much for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you're amazing for doing it.
Like, big up to you. Seriously. But it's, exactly. Like, again, like that ability, like telling yourself that it's okay as well to like feel those things. And I think I hope that like at least my partner will also remind me that it's okay. It's okay to like feel these things and that your hormones are going crazy. And if I get, if I'm not in the right space or feeling, because I know like I'm the kind of person who will possibly also just be like, why do I feel like this? Why can't I do the things I used to do? And then my partner will be like, you just had a baby. Like, let's just take a minute here. He's very good at that. He's very, very good at that.
That's good. That's what you need. I feel like that's natural, though. I feel like it's such a natural thing. I can't imagine any woman who wouldn't go through that period. I definitely felt that even just in pregnancy, like the transition. There was a transition period and I was like, okay, this is different. Yeah. We're different. We aren't the same person we used to be, but it's okay. Everyone calm. Yeah, so having a good partner or some people around you who are able to remind you of that.
Exactly. Like you were saying, Sam, I really am, I'm such a product of that it takes a village. Like I grew up in such a community with many aunties, like aunties around me, taking care of me and helping my mom because my dad passed when I was 5. So it was, my mom really did rely on our community as a single mother, and how that having that as an influence in terms of so many other people being able to help around these kind of things it's essential. And I think that is also how it's meant to be. That's how, like when you think of like society, how it used to be like, 1,000 years ago or whatever, how many years ago you want to go far back, it used to be that we were together and helping each other. So
actually, I just realized I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes.
And it was I didn't know whether to ask it, but as you just said, you lost your dad when you were so young. Do you feel like I don't know, like when you birth your baby that it's sort of you're birthing part of your dad? I don't know how to ask this, but you know what I mean? Like he's kind of living on through your
new life.
Your baby.
Oh, that's such a sweet thing to say. And it definitely is. I think I would word it in the sense that I feel lucky that I get to pass him down. In that sense.
That's what, I didn't know how to ask. Sorry.
No, it's great. And it totally, and I think that there is, there's just an element of that your ancestors live on through you and in the next generation. And it's so funny. Like my mom always says that my dad is the most alive dead guy ever. Because like our family, like he is so much alive within our family. Wow. We talk about him a lot.
I love that.
And
your music.
Exactly. And like I come from a very creative family in general. And so, my brother actually made a film around my father and around his life. And,
wow.
And so it's definitely, and my brother and sister are a lot older than me. And so my brother has 2 kids. And so my niece and nephew, they grew up really knowing about Grandpa Guy and how they, even though they didn't get to meet him, that they are so much a product of him. And the same thing will definitely happen for my kids, because it is just so many of the decisions of my parents, especially my father, who really wanted something more for himself. He didn't want to stay in poverty. He didn't want to stay even in the States. He moved to Canada because he wanted a better life for himself, and for his kids. And that is like, you know, that Canadian passport, you know, it's like everyone gets to reap those benefits because of the decisions that he made. And
Wow.
and then my parents coming together, shout out to mom as well, of course. And it's just, yeah, I definitely think about that a lot. And how, yeah, that will definitely be something that's talked about around the house. And it already is. Like, I tell
beautiful.
like stories about my dad to Daryl all the time, even though Daryl never met him, but it's definitely part of the I don't know, the makeup of our family. So yeah.
And you've got all those hours of tapes that, like, videos.
That's
so
incredible.
Cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's insane. It's so much as well. There's 11 hours. It's a lot.
That's right. Yeah, it's incredible.
So I do not expect my kid to ever listen to them. Maybe they'll be interested in them.
But,
you never know. You never know.
Exactly. And they have your album.
Exactly.
You know.
So funny.
A beautiful homage.
Yeah. Do you guys like ever wonder, like, I don't know, because like my parents always joke like that I was always a musical person, like, because my mom, there's this story within my family that my mom was sitting in the car and Alphabet Street by Prince came onto the yeah, such classic, and I started kicking in her belly to Alphabet Street.
Yeah.
Do you guys like think about like,
true.
how like being around music all the time, because we're DJs, and how that is like incepting into like their little brains as they're being made? Like
100%. No, I already feel it. Like when I play music, the baby responds to music.
Yeah.
Like it just does. So I'm like, and look, the baby's been to Berghain. So I mean, if he doesn't come out liking techno, what's going on? I keep on saying he's either going to love it or
hate it. Exactly. It's like going to be
so
one or the other. It's like going to be either like they are going to want to be musicians and like live the exact same life, and or even more so, or they will literally want nothing to do with it.
Silence.
Imagine if that's how they rebel, like when they're teenagers, that they're just like, I hate music.
Imagine, or if they're like, I hate techno, and I'll be like, don't say horrible things like that to mummy. But in my head, I think he likes it. So every time I play, do you know what? When I play house music, when I play like really deep house music, that's what he responds to.
That's
the most,
interesting.
Like deep bass.
He's my kind of kid.
Exactly. It's a house baby.
Jeannie has recently got really into dub music.
Stop it.
Oh,
so
cool.
Oh my god. Does she get low? Does she
she kind of does this like
no.
We're gonna see Jeannie at Notting Hill Carnival on a with sirens.
Oh my god. I cannot right now. I love it. I love it.
We're not only building the next generation of people, we're building the next generation of DJs.
Yeah!
It's important.
But you see, like, I don't know, again, like TikTok, good Lord, like these little kids who are just like mixing and doing like scratching and
exactly.
And they're just little proteges, you know?
They're going to take over.
Literally.
They're going to take over.
Yep. We should watch out.
Yeah, watch for our jobs.
Yeah, they're taking all our jobs. The kids.
The DJ babies.
The DJ babies. Oh, guys, they already are. At least they are for me. And I'm okay with that. I'm very okay with
Yeah,
that.
me too.
Oh,
That's so good. That's so good.
Oh, God.
All right.
Oh, well. This has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, Helena.
Well, you can thank me too.
Sorry. Thank you, Jayda. Yeah, this was very, very special, I must say.
Very special.
Well, thanks,
very
guys.
special.
Thanks for having me. I'm just, like I said, I'm so just excited to be talking about this and with you too, like people that I know and who are like, fellow DJs that I see on tour on the regs. So it makes it like, I don't know, it just makes it that much more special because these are the conversations that you definitely don't always have on the road and just come out maybe in little snippets like me telling you, Sam,
I remember
in our ride share, like back to the hotel, being like, I want kids. Like, that's literally how this happened, by the way.
Yep.
Helena.
Did I tell you that, Helena? That's
No, I didn't know that. That's so good. I love
ADE,
it.
I think it was.
It was ADE, yeah.
Wow. And that's just, okay, that just makes it even more crazy that Sam messaged
It's
you.
really
like,
weird.
the same
it's really
time that you were thinking about.
I know.
It's meant to be. It's meant to be.
to be. It's definitely
special.
meant to be.
It's special.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh. And if you ever do need advice or anything,
I will definitely be messaging you guys.
Please. Please.
I will, Helena, I will be wanting to know about those mom groups in Hackney.
Oh yeah, I will send them to you.
And also, if you need any advice on birth or anything, I loved giving birth. So you too, Helena, if you want any bits.
I need some more.
Oh gosh, no, I appreciate guys, and I hope that people just like witness this, that this is also like how you build community within the DJ community as well, and so it's pretty cool. So thanks for having me.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.